to this session, Understanding Your Free RevMax Tools to Maximize Your Company's Income Potential. I am Maureen Shilling, and I'm the Director of Client Services with RevMax, and I am accompanied today by Austin Taylor, and I'll let him introduce himself.
What's up, guys? I probably met a lot of you at the LiveRez conference a couple weeks ago. My main role is to kind of merge where you are today, see if RevMax is a good fit, whether that's the free tools, the full system, or even something in between for consulting services. So here just kind of to help Maureen do her thing today. And if you guys have any questions, please drop them into the chat and we will ask Maureen directly to her.
Perfect. So we have been with RevMax, Austin and I, for many years. And so we've seen this tool evolve into what it is today. And we think that it's going to be a great tool for helping you out with the things that you do from day to day in automations, in dynamic pricing. And for those of you who are already on the Ignite version of LiveRez, this is something that you can enable in your system today. For those of you who are migrating soon, we can't wait to welcome you. And for those of you who haven't had your migration date yet, don't worry, we'll still be here whenever you're ready. Okay, so again, this is a new partnership that LiveRez has established with RevMax through its system Ignite. So on our agenda, we'll talk about what is RevMax, what is the RevMax LiveRez partnership, best practices to optimizing your revenue while automating your repeating tasks, the free RevMax starter tools, a walkthrough of the system, and then getting signed up, and then what onboarding and support look like. So first of all, what is RevMax? RevMax is a full revenue management software. So I am one of the co-founders along with Desiree Garcia, and I came from the Hilton world in revenue management, and she came from the Marriott world. And we met up together about 17 years ago in the vacation rental world. Back in revenue management was something like find a gap. And there wasn't much else as far as technology, and data was very difficult to come by or to at least put in a meaningful format. So we have seen the transformation of revenue management and data analytics tools in the vacation rental space. We've watched it for a long time, and we're just so excited to be a part of it and to bring our experiences and our knowledge into creating a software for you that we think that will be very meaningful and helpful. We're fully integrated with LiveRez Ignite. So again, we'll be here for you when you're ready and migrated over. It does push out to all of the OTAs. So everything that's done inside your system will flow back into your LiveRez Ignite system. And then from just follow the regular pathway out to your online travel sites, such as Vrbo or Airbnb or any of the sites that you're connected with through BookingPal. We have advanced data analytics inside the RevMax system. However, I also wanted to mention that the RevMax team also manages LSI Insights. So for those of you, I know we have a lot of new signups for LSI Insights recently for LiveRez customers. And it's the same team that will be managing your RevMax system as manages your LSI system. LSI is a full data analytics tool, so it's pulling real reservation information directly from the LiveRez PMS system, so it's accurate to the penny. That tool is integrated with 9 different PMS systems, so it's the richest form of data because it's direct transactional data. So we know exactly how much the guest paid, and we know exactly how many nights they stayed and which nights are owner or guest nights. So we hope to welcome you not only to RevMax, but also to LSI Insights. Okay, perfect. And then we also have a full learning management system. So RevMax has many different ways to support you no matter what you're trying to learn. All right. RevMax has 2 divisions. We have the software side, and we also have a RevMax services side. And this is something that makes us unique in the revenue management space, is that we actually use the same software that we build and that we teach other people to use, which means that we are constantly battle testing every piece we roll out for you so that we can make sure that it's working as effectively as possible, and that the tools that we develop inside the system are the ones that are going to bring the greatest returns to our users. So what is the RevMax LiveRez partnership? So through this partnership, you can now get the free RevMax starter tool set just as part of your LiveRez partnership. So just by being a LiveRez Ignite client, you get this partnership with RevMax for the free starter tools. You also get the free basic subscription of LSI Insights. So we've got you covered in everything you need, from the data all the way to the revenue management software, so that you can be as effective as possible. What's included in this free revenue management toolset? We have a RevMax dashboard. This is going to pull up all your high-level KPIs. Those are your key performance indicators, such as your revenue year-to-date, your ADR, your RevPAR, your underperforming units, and where your sources of reservations are coming from. You're going to have the RevMax tape chart. So this allows you to do bulk edits for any of your pricing or nightly minimums. Your also availability rules, such as gap logic and dynamic minimal nights, which is a fan favorite. I can't wait to show you that one. Then in addition, you'll get the basic RevMax reporting. So if you ever wish for better reporting, we've got you covered there. And like I said, we also have the LSI Insights. So if you would like some market comparisons or additional reporting, we have that tool as well.
Hey, Maureen,
Okay.
can you touch a little bit on why we're able to offer these free tools with our relationship with Ignite, as well as if somebody's on a competitor like Beyond or Wheelhouse using dynamic pricing, can they use both, or do they have to pick one or the other?
Okay, so as far as how we're able to offer this, so we are actually sister companies. So LiveRez and RevMax have the same parent. And so because LiveRez is making this move over to a software that we are already integrated with, we are already connected to Ignite, this now opens the door for us to be able to offer the RevMax system to the LiveRez user. So that's how we're able to do that. And the free version is because we are sister companies and we want to do things that benefit each other. As far as can you use these together? So these systems, you can turn on the RevMax system. Now, the RevMax starter tool system is just starter tools. It doesn't have the dynamic pricing options. You can purchase a dynamic pricing option if you would like to. We have the ability to pull over all of your information and populate it into reports and everything for you to use without syncing back the rate. So that basically means we have the ability to do a one-way transfer of data from LiveRez over into RevMax, but not send it back. So if you're using some other tool in the marketplace, we can make it so that your system doesn't send back into the LiveRez system. As a matter of fact, it just means that you do nothing as far as pressing any buttons that say go. So as long as you're not going to do that, then it won't send the rates back from RevMax into LiveRez to override what you have coming in from one of those other softwares, one of those other revenue management systems. But it would give you access to the RevMax reporting. You would be able to view the information there and play around with it. And then maybe it's something that you decide that you would like to use the RevMax system. And at that point, it's already there. You would have already had the opportunity to set it up. And you can decide to send your rates back over and turn off the other system. So that's how that process would work. Hopefully that's a clear explanation. Any other questions?
Yeah, well, a couple more real quick. So how does your analytics work with and pull from the full dash of key data? Do we work with key data, or is it more so LSI?
So LSI and key data are going to be the closest thing to market competitors. So it's the exact same information. They both pull information from the same space, directly from the PMS system. And what was the other part of the question?
Yeah, basically, like, do we pull in data from key data, or do we use our own data source of the LSI?
So both key data and LSI would use the same source of the data, which is direct integration with the PMS system, which in this case would be live.
Cool, good to go. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. So the first part of the free RevMax toolset is going to be your RevMax dashboard. So again, this is going to be where you see the high-level KPIs that are coming from your PMS system, going into the RevMax system, and then populating your reports and then pulling up, lifting up the most important parts of those reports so that you can see a high level of that. So you can pop in once a week, twice a week, every day if you like, and you can see how am I doing in comparison to prior year, or how am I doing just in my current month on my distribution channels, and any daily statistics there at the very bottom line to tell you how am I doing on my number of bookings, and is this up or is this down in comparison to the same day last year. So a really good place to get those high level reports. The next part is going to be our RevMax that tape chart. This is going to populate all of your rates by day, by home, and you're going to be able to manipulate your length of stay requirements for the homes in bulk here. You're going to be able to see the pattern of arrivals and departures for each of your stays, just like you would on the tape chart inside your LiveRez system. This is going to allow you to make modifications here and then send those rates back to your LiveRez system. You can also filter by day of week. You can filter by number of bedrooms. You can create groups and have those be filterable. In this, you're also, if you have LSI toggled on for your company, you're also going to see the LSI market comparisons in your tape chart. So you can see what the overall market's occupancy is in comparison to your own company's occupancy by day, and then what that marketplace's average rates are. If you use your filters, it will filter that LSI data by whatever you're looking for. So if you just want to see your 3 bedrooms or just want to see a specific area, it will filter that LSI information as well so that you can become more specific with what you're seeing on your tape chart. In your RevMax tape chart, you'll be able to do bulk edits either by an entire day at a time or by the entire time frame that you have pulled up on your dashboard. It makes it nice and efficient in order to be able to do changes. You'll also be able to see things like lost revenue or your revenue opportunity for the time frame that you're showing. So if you just want to pull up 4th of July week and see how much revenue opportunity do I still have, meaning how much of my open nights over the 4th of July are still unbooked and how much money does that equate to? Then you could also see the lost revenue. Lost revenue is defined by how many blocks or owner nights you have, and those nights times the average rate that you're asking for that night. So since that becomes unavailable to you to rent because it's blocked, that becomes a lost revenue opportunity. I have people that love having when the owner calls them and they say, hey, why am I down for the summer in comparison to last year? Great, let me filter for just your home on the tape chart for the summertime and see how much lost revenue opportunity there is in there because of owner blocks. And that's kind of eye-opening when the owner sees maybe it's, several $1,000s because they have taken out Memorial Day weekend and maybe a couple of other key time frames during the summertime. And that could be the difference between what their expectation is and what they actually have booked. It's that lost opportunity. So this is really a useful thing when having those conversations. Dynamic minimal nights, fan favorite. So dynamic minimal nights allows us to create strategies by homes. We can assign it to individual homes. So it could have one type of home or one group of homes could have one strategy and a different group of homes could have a different strategy. And this just basically says, if my nightly minimum is 3 nights, but I get within X number of days prior to arrival, I would like my nightly minimum to automatically change for me without me having to do anything. It's just going to do this. So you'd set the date range that you would like it to affect. And then as it rolls through day by day into that time frame, and it gets within X number of nights, then it will automatically make that adjustment on your tape chart. This is perfect to do during your off season for the upcoming year and just determine what do I want my night minimum to be further out? When do I want it to change? And you can stair step the changes. So if you have a 7-night minimum for homes during the summertime, you can move it down to 6 or 5 or 4 just as you get closer to the day of arrival. And it's just going to automatically make those updates on your tape chart for you so that you don't have to constantly be looking at that. And it's operating 24 hours a day. Gap logic. We have 2 different forms of gap logic. One is setting just a number as far as how many nights you would be willing to take if the nightly minimum cannot be met that you have on your tape chart. We also have one called gap logic. So for some owners, they say, heck, if I have a 5-night minimum or 4-night minimum for a specific time frame, and that 4 nights can't be met, only 3 nights or a 2-night reservation could be met, I'm willing to let it be opened up for any 2 nights of that 3-night stay pattern to be booked. That would mean a gap value of 2. But the owner may say, well, I want to fill the maximum amount of nights that are available during any gap. So if I have a 5-night minimum and there are 4 nights available, I want the minimum in that gap to be fillable at 4 nights. If there are only 3 nights, I want that 3 nights to be met. And if there are 2 nights, I want that 2 nights to be met. And I want the system to be smart enough, take a look at that, and to make that adjustment on its own. That is what we call back-to-back logic. And like you see right here, it can be set by home. So you can have some homes that follow just basic gap value logic, and then some homes that have back-to-back gap logic turned on. So that's completely customizable. All right. And that's the back-to-back gap logic. And now we'll go into the system and take a look. All right, perfect. So when you establish your integration with LiveRez, you're going to go into the integrations part of your Ignite system, and you're going to toggle on, you're going to go to inactive integrations and find RevMax, and then you're going to toggle on the RevMax integration. And then the next step will be to send all of your homes over. You can select to have some homes not integrate or not send back rates, but from a reporting perspective, and we say this for LSI as well, make sure you send over all of the properties, and then you can determine which ones you want to filter out of different things. So that's going to be the most important part. That way, whenever you're looking at your data, you have a true representation of how your entire company is doing. So on your dashboard, again, this is going to be your high level key performance indicators, things such as your yearly revenue this year versus last year and any change, your occupancy this year versus last year and any change, RevPAR, which is the key performance indicator to rule them all because it doesn't care whether you added or removed properties from your portfolio. And it also doesn't care necessarily what just occupancy is doing or what just ADR is doing. It takes everything into account, and it talks in terms of how much did I get per opportunity. I could have rented a unit, whether I did or didn't. So RevPAR, super key to have that there. When I talk about budgets, I always talk about tying a budget goal to RevPAR, not to occupancy and ADR. ADR, of course, is over here, and this is going to be important year over year in order to see just how things are fluctuating. Right now, I hear a lot of people saying, well, I'm able to get the occupancy, but I'm having to do a lot of work on average rate in order to do that. This is going to kind of give you an idea of how much that's changing. Current month is going to be here on your second row. So everything having to do with months. This is going to show your underperforming properties for the current month that you're in. And this may pass the logic check when you look at this, because you might know that an owner has some owner nights off market. And so that, one of these properties or 2 of these properties being down is making sense. However, there are some others that might stand out to you and you might think, well, this doesn't look quite right. And I don't want to have that phone call from the owner who is saying, hey, last year I did this revenue, and this year I've noticed a big decrease. So this helps you get in front of that conversation where you're able to see the data on those individual homes. And if there's one in there from an owner that really likes to talk to you, that that's the one you're going to want to address first. In the middle, it's going to be your 12-month nightly revenue pace. So the bars are going to be this year, the line is going to be last year, and it's just a great quick visual that will show you year over year how you're performing in revenue. And your key is going to be up here. And if you hover over, it will tell you exactly how much that dollar amount is and what the difference is. Over here, revenue by source, this is going to show you how much you're getting as far as revenue from all of your distribution channels. So it'll show you how much you're getting from HomeAway, which is going to be your Vrbo, and how much you're getting from your Airbnb, direct reservations, any other sources of information such as BookingPal, etc. So lots of good knowledge there. If you notice that Airbnb typically is your largest source of reservations through Note, and all of a sudden they've become a sliver where your Vrbo is doing very well, then that might be something where you want to take a look at your Airbnb listing and just make sure that it's optimized, that you're doing everything you can there. Bottom row is, of course, your daily statistics. This is going to be how many paid nights do you have tonight? Is it up or down in comparison to last year? Total nights, that includes your owners, ADR, number of bookings you've taken in, your RevPAR for the night, and your any cancellations you've had for the month so that you can keep track of those. Great. So next we'll go into your tape chart. And many of you are probably familiar with tape chart because you have one inside your LiveRez system. And tape charts are just the most wonderful place ever created for revenue management because it allows you to have all of the details so that you can go into each part and start making strategies, and you can see how everything is fitting together in the flow of reservations. So I just love the tape chart. Like I said, if you're toggling on your LSI, which why not, it's free, then this LSI bar at the very top is going to populate, and that is going to have your overall market information. So you can see, well, how full is the total market and how big is that market data set? So over here on the left-hand side, it shows this 150. So this market data set is 150 units. Of that 150 units, how many of them are full on this Tuesday? How many of them are full on this Friday? And then how does that compare to my own inventory sales? And then it's going to show you what the average rate is. Like I said, if you're using your filters, this is going to allow you to filter down the information, and it will filter your LSI as well. So if you just want to see, how are my 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms doing, it'll show you how the 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms are doing in the marketplace as far as the occupancy and also the sold rate for the night. Remember, LSI information is direct PMS information. So this is accurate to the dollar for what is sold. Now, as far as selling, meaning what is currently posted for competitors in the marketplace, so we can see what their rates are, that is going to be one of our dynamic pricing choices that you can add on to your free system. So that is going to be a paid tool that you can add on, and I can just touch on it a little bit today. But that basically is going to give you this bar right here where it would show you of a specific comp set that you have created for the comps that you want to hand pick. What is the current selling rate for that comp set? So it might differ from what was already sold because we know that sold means any time in the past. So it could have been sold 180 days in advance back when your rates were really high. Now that we're within 7 days, what rate are we competing with today? That would be that comp set rate that you can create inside RevMax from a comp set that pertains to a specific segment of your inventory, such as 3 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms, or however in detail you want to make that comp set to your properties. Okay, great. So it's going to show you your property names here. I'm just actually going to switch over just a second here. So your property names are going to be here to the left-hand side. It's going to give you a little indication of the size and number of beds and number of baths so that you can kind of have in your head what you're looking at. It's going to tell you what yielding or dynamic pricing strategies you have attached to that home. We have inside RevMax 3 different types of dynamic pricing models. We have what's called a rules-based model, which works for 100% of the inventory, called Max Shield. You set the rules, you set the base rates, and then you define the parameters under which you would want the rates to go up or down. I normally tell people to think of Max Shield as kind of what we would do in the olden days. So back in the olden days, if you had an open couple of weeks, you would identify that and you would say, oh, we need to send out a coupon code to our database of past guests. And we need to highlight this period of time and say, if you stay in the month of April or in the month of May, you can get these units, right? So the properties that you have participated in that coupon, you can have one of these beautiful properties for 20% off, 25% off, whatever discount you felt like was appropriate at the time. So you were setting parameters that if these homes aren't filled by this date, I would do this, or I would send out a marketing piece and allow everybody to buy it, that's in my past guest database for % off. So you already have an idea of how you would want your inventory pricing to move if it's still vacant and you're within a certain number of days in advance. You would also kind of have an understanding of if the marketplace is getting full and your homes are still available, you would want those rates to increase because there's higher demand in the marketplace. And so you would want that action upward to happen just as you would want the downward action to happen if the demand was low and you're getting closer and it's still open. So you need something to program for those things to happen, but you want to set the parameters. That's Max Shield. Max Shield is going to allow you to do that. Maybe you say, well, I actually have community of homes. I have homes in a community of homes where they're all very similar. And I just want to track those specific houses. And I want my rates to be able to adapt based upon what those homes are doing, along with other rules that I might set inside the software. Again, we're always affecting based upon what our own goals are, not just what the market is doing. But I want that market information as far as rates in order to help inform how my properties are going to move. That's going to be your comp set pricing. If you want something that's like just super easy, turn it on and let's go, that's going to be your market-based pricing. We're also rolling it out soon as RevMax Go. For that reason, it's very easy to set up some basic parameters and guidelines based upon, again, your rules. Let the system select your market competitors and let the motions happen there. Okay, all of that populates after all of that dynamic pricing is done. It all populates here onto the tape chart so that you can see where the ending price is. And it's going to pop up like something like this, where it'll show where was my starting rate, what is the floor rate that I have established, because you always want to establish a floor, and then what is that dynamic pricing model telling me my rate should be based upon the parameters I've set up. And this is a great way to see if an owner says something to the effect of, I must have $300 minimum per night or I don't want to sell it at all, right? This is a way to see, well, what is the market or what is dynamic pricing telling me the rate should be? And if it's constantly getting stopped by that floor rate that's too high, then this is really kind of a conversation for me to bring back to the owner and say, let me show you what the intelligence I have is telling me your rate should be. And that's very helpful for us to make those cases to owners who might be reluctant to allow their rates to be changed. They want facts maybe behind that, and this is a way to get those facts for them. So that populates right here, this final rate up here. This is what gets sent back to your LiveRez system. Your nightly minimums are right here. You can click in and override them, or you can do an adjustment just for the entire day right here, and you can adjust you can override the price that's going to go back to LiveRez. You can adjust the base price, which is before dynamic pricing is applied. You can do a minimum stay. I don't think today that max stay is going to work with your system, but you can adjust your minimum stay. You can adjust your dollar by a dollar amount, or you can adjust by a percent amount. We're just at a hard price. I just want this to be 150. We're within the week. I just want this to be 150 and go out to all of my OTA. You have the ability to do all of those things. Okay, great. So let me actually toggle over here to reports. Do we have any questions? All right. So this top line of reports is your basic reports that you'll get from RevMax. You'll get something called a nightly minimum report. And this is going to show you for each property what your nightly minimum is by night. So you can pull up a section of your inventory, maybe just your 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, and just make sure that the nightly minimums are the way that you would like them to be. Or if there's some red flags on here, like, oh, I thought I had changed that one and brought down that nightly minimum to something a little bit lower, this is going to be a nice red flag for you. So this is a great report for just auditing as far as your nightly minimums go. Booking window report. Love this report. This is going to tell you how the booking window has changed. So like, let's say, for example, if you want to take a look at the winter, you could pull up just the winter dates, and you can see in there how the booking window has changed since last year. How far out to arrival were people booking last year? And then how does that differ from how far out people were booking this year? And so we have lots of conversations right now, or you hear the buzzwords, booking window has moved closer in, booking window has moved closer in, as a result of things like oversupply. And so people have less of an urgency to book sooner because there's plenty of inventory available. So why should I book soon? I have time to go on the website and do some shopping, check with my people, and then come back at a later date and book, and there's still going to be plenty of supply open. So there's a lack of a sense of urgency that's contributing to booking window shifting. And then of course, the demand is just lower overall. And so because of that, we're just seeing a lot of shifts in booking window. But how do we get that information for each of our segments of homes in order to then be able to tell people in our company or our owners, or if we have investors, that this is actually what's happening? Let me show you how it's moving. the larger homes, the 6, 7, 8 bedroom homes last year for the summertime were looking this far in advance. But now we're seeing that the bookings for those, maybe they just started in the past couple of weeks. And, we're still getting good volumes right now. But it's the same volumes maybe we were getting a couple of weeks ago. This report's going to be able to show you that information. Super insightful. And it'll break it down between this year and last year and what percent of bookings you were getting 7 days prior to arrival, 14 days prior to arrival, 21 days prior to arrival, 30 days prior to arrival this year and versus last year for whatever time frame you would like to view. So super helpful report.
Hey, Maureen,
Okay.
quick question for you. Can they set up seasonal rates for the base, the floor, and ceiling rates based on selected dates of the year? So basically asking, can we do base and floor and ceiling rates by day?
You can, yeah. So that's not going to be part of the basic subscription model, but I will show you that because I think that's something that's important to understand is that we have floor rates that you would establish for all of your homes. And those are going to be like a global floor. You can also do a global percent. Normally I say put both of them in there because your floors will work for your season, but your floor percents are going to be super helpful during your high season. Or individual, let's say you have a floor rate, but you want to do a separate floor rate during the summertime. It's no problem. We can do what's called a time period floor ceiling rate, and you can put in a date range and establish a different floor rate or a floor percent for that time frame. You can also allocate it by day of week. So if you want just for the summertime, only your Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays to have a different rate, you can type those in, fill in what you would like that new rate to be, and then that would apply first. And then any dates that don't have a date range here would just default back to your separate floor rate. So we do have floor rates, yes, floor and we have ceiling rates as well. Because sometimes people say, well, I want dynamic pricing to apply to this house, but I know if I go over $450, the house is just going to be asking for bad reviews because the value of the home it's really not going to be worth more than that. And I don't want to risk bad reviews. So I'm going to cap the dynamic pricing so that it doesn't go over a certain amount, only just for select homes. Okay.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. So I am showing you a bunch of things on here that are part of the upgraded version of the system, the premium version, such as floor night minimums and floor percents and ceilings. But yeah, those are going to be important pretty much when you get a dynamic pricing model. Okay, so back to your reports, your daily pricing report. This is one that I love, and I think everybody loves this report. It's going to show you what your base rate is. So if you have seasons in LiveRez, those would pull over into here, and that would be this rate here. And then whatever dynamic pricing is telling you it should be. So whatever dynamic pricing is moving it to is going to be right below it. Then right below that, this is going to be what you sold it for. If it's sold, what was it sold for? So this is a great way to go back to 2023 and say, what did this house sell for last year during the summertime? And what am I asking for this year? Does that pass the logic check? Am I asking for more now than what it was able to sell for last year? If so, maybe my starting point is wrong. And that's just really good intelligence. If you have a property that you're already seeing is starting to struggle, pulling up this report for last year and just saying, okay, practically what did it sell for during the first 2 weeks of June? What am I asking for now? And let's maybe choose a rate that's a little bit higher than what they sold for last year, but is down from what I'm asking right now, and see if we can at least improve their earnings over last year without taking the risk of it just not selling at all. Okay, unit performance information. This is going to show how your company is performing year over year by month. So it is going to show you in the bars here. This is going to be 2024's information. It's going to show you 2023's information by month, how you're performing in revenue. And then underneath, it'll show you the table format of what you see up here in the graph. So how much am I up or down by dollars by month for my company with the total here at the end? Then you probably want to see, well, which properties are up and which properties are down. So here it's going to show all the property names, and then it'll show in this line just how much revenue they have on the books for the year. You can also just run this for a time frame if you just want to see the summertime, or just see how am I doing for the month of June. you can do that. And it can give you a list of underperforming homes for June and those that are performing really well. If it's always performing super well, that can also be an indicator that the rates are not high enough and maybe it's time for an upward rate adjustment. If you hover over, it's going to tell you the dollar difference, what it had on the books this time last year, and what it has on the books this time this year. Every report defaults to what we call a pace, which means that it has the same as of date last year. You can modify that. So if you want to see where you ended last year to see how much distance you still have to go, you can modify all the reports so that they're showing data in that way. And so this is going to give you that. And then it'll give you, if you're a table person and you just really like to see things in a table format, it's going to show you the table version of that. So January difference, January percent. You can show details on here to get a little bit more granular information so you can see how you're doing in comparison to prior year by month. And you can identify which homes are really in need of attention and which homes are doing just fine. Again, great to have that information ahead of time instead of getting the owner phone call. Booked report, this is also a fan favorite. This is going to show you, it's going to default to showing you just the past week's worth of information. Again, you can change these date ranges as much as you like to see any period of time. So if you want to see how much have you had in bookings since the beginning of the year versus last year during the same period of time, you can do that. But most of the time when we're looking at a bookings report or a sales report, we're going to pop in there at least once a week. And what we're really interested in was how was our week in bookings and how does that compare to last year? Is the velocity of bookings keeping up with what it was doing last year? Or is it really slow? Because it might be that our revenue for the current month is doing just fine. However, if the velocity of reservations is down, we know that that's a loss for somewhere in our future. And so we want to stay ahead of that information too. So this is going to give you that information. It's going to tell you how many nights have booked in the past 7 days. It's going to tell you how many bookings and how much revenue. And then how does that relate to what was happening last year? Maybe this passes the logic check and you think, this makes total sense because I'm already full for Memorial Day. And this time last year, I was still getting those bookings because I had some new homes with open calendars to be filled. So you can then use this information and interpret it based upon the case for your company. It's going to show you your bookings by the days of the week. It's going to show you where you're getting the reservations from, which sources, HomeAway, which is Verbo, Airbnb, BookingPal. It's going to show you all of the occupancy groups you might have, which is just a fancy way of saying custom groups you have set up in the system. And then it's going to show you which homes got bookings, right? Because that's what's most exciting is who got the money and who sat pretty quiet this past week. And if they're sitting quiet every single week, week after week, that's probably a sign that we need to do something in order to speed things up. The doing something isn't always a rate change though. So there's other tips and tricks there. All right. So that is your basic reporting. So again, what you're going to get free is you're going to get the tape charts. You're going to get this LSI data as long as you also toggle on your LSI integration, and you'll be able to make bulk updates here. Now, availability rules, your gap logic is going to be up here. This is going to be where you set your gap value for each individual home. Or like I talked about earlier, you can say, I just want to do this back to back, right? I only want this home to book whatever the maximum gap is between two bookings, as if that gap can't meet my normal nightly minimum. Then over on the tape chart, you have your availability rules for dynamic minimal nights, which is that fan favorite. I'm going to add a rule and I'm going to say for the summertime, I'm going to have this say, if I'm within 7 days prior to arrival, I'm going to change my nightly minimum to be 3 for my homes. Maybe it's 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever the case may be. Or maybe you say within 7 nights, I want to change it to 2. And then I'm going to assign this strategy to a specific group of units. So maybe it's just a couple, maybe it's all of them, however you have your inventory set up. And then you're going to give it a name. But you can also do something to the effect of this. Within 30 days of arrival, I want my nightly minimum to change to 3. And then if I'm for the same date range, if I'm still empty, if some of my inventory is still vacant, I'm going to then take that within a week and I'm going to change it to 2, right? You've just automated what you would do anyway. And those updates are going to happen directly on the tape chart. And then they're going to get sent over to LiveRez as long as you've synced the companies for that 2-way communication to take place. So it's going to be This is really, really useful. Okay, I'm not going to save that. All right. So I said I'd touch on some of the dynamic pricing options that you have available to you. Your Max Shield system is where you would create groupings of your inventory. So maybe you have some in a community that you would like to group together. Maybe you have larger homes you would like to group together, smaller homes that you would like to group together that move the same way, meaning that they have about the same booking window and that the rules that would apply to them would be about the same. That if you're within a certain number of days of arrival, you would want the same action to apply to them. So what we would do is we would set up a map based upon how your inventory moves. And this is really easy because we have a booking window report. So we can tell how your inventory moves. We could create a segment of your inventory for 6, 7, 8 bedroom properties, and we could pull just the booking window for only those properties, and we can see when the bulk of your bookings take place. Because the bulk of bookings, when they're taking place, that would be essentially where you have no rules applied for taking the rate up or taking the rate down, unless we're already starting to see things be busy in the marketplace, in which case the rates would be going up, but you wouldn't yet be taking any decreases. But if you get outside of that normal window of bookings where you would expect that all of your 7 or 8 bedroom homes would already have bookings by this date, and now you're kind of fighting for the last minute person for that house, you might need to take down your rates or have your rates start moving down so that you can get really aggressive in order to get that booking for that last minute guest. And so that's where you would potentially choose to apply those discounts, like the coupons that we used to apply. You would say, okay, what as far as a discount or couponing would I have applied to this date range if it's still open within a certain amount of time? We set that up as what we call a map or a grid system that says if the inventory is within a certain percentage of occupancy, so between 0% full or 30% full, again, this can pertain to just a segment of inventory. And I am within 14 days outdo this. If I'm within 10 days, outdo this to my pricing. 4 days, do this to my pricing, right? Take that base rate, whatever that starting rate was, and apply that discount because that makes me more aggressive for the people who are looking last minute. Now, if I'm busy, if my inventory is between 70 and 80% occupancy, and I'm within a 14-day period of time, maybe I'd like a slight elevation to be put on rate because, I believe that that's something that I can ask for at that period of time. Every single field in here is modifiable. You can make the rates go up or down, whatever your rules are, because you understand how your inventory moves. You also understand what owners are willing to allow you to do, because not every owner says, go ahead and use your judgment, right? And we would love for them to say that. As a matter of fact, I think that they should be saying that all the time because we work in the data world where we do actually have data now. But sometimes they're just scared and they just don't want to rent their asset for anything less than a certain amount. So you can set this up and you can attach this map to 1 property, to 10 properties, to all your properties. And you can create a separate map for that owner that they just don't want to go below 10% off. That's fine. Then this number would never go below 10. And you would just type that in there. These rules, again, can be placed over any other type of dynamic pricing. So comp set pricing, that's where you would create a comp set based upon homes inside the marketplace that you believe are comparable. And then it's going to show you what those homes rates are by night. Some of these are already sold out. You can have as many comps in here as you would like. We definitely encourage as many as possible. A minimum of 10 is good. This one only has 1 in there because it's a demo company. And then it's going to show you where those homes are located. It's going to show you the average daily selling price, future average weekly price, lots of great information. And again, this is a great place to bring an owner and say, hey, these are the comparables that we have found. And this is their rates for the upcoming week. This is what they're currently selling. And I think that maybe we really need to rethink that $300 minimum. Maybe we need to take that down if you want it sold. If you're fine with it sitting empty, then the rate we have in there is going to get you that result. So anyway, great information. The next one and the last one we'll talk about is going to be your market-based pricing. And your market-based pricing is basically going to let you see, let's see. I don't think I have this turned on for here. but it's basically going to allow you to say, system, please go out there and find my comps for me. Allow the system to, have maybe a broader reach to just select market comps and then have the rates change up or down. You can set rules against that as well. Like I said before, you can apply Max Shield on top of that. And that's going to say, the system tells me that the market rate for tonight should be this amount. But since I'm within 7 days of arrival, I want to also add in this other rule set that says that I'm going to then start taking my rates down strategically as I get closer. So this helps me to overlay that market intelligence with the rules that I would have in mind. Okay. Austin, any questions?
So far, so good.
All right, we're doing great, you guys. All right, so that's going to be about it for today. Again, let me see your LSI. So when you're in your RevMax system, your LSI is going to be over here in your RevMax Insights. So if you click there, it will take you directly over to the LSI site, which will have all of it's going to automatically log you in as long as you have IDs for that. So you definitely want to make sure that when the request is sent over to RevMax to have your LSI initiated for you, that you include everybody that's going to be using the RevMax system or the LSI system to get IDs for that, so that it allows you to automatically log in. And then that's going to provide you with all kinds of information. And I think mine has probably logged me out already. Let me just quick show you what that looks like. And we'll also have a webinar on LSI here in a couple of weeks too. So for those of you who have asked questions, because I've been getting a lot of questions about it, we're definitely gonna have a webinar so that I can walk you through all of that, because I think you're gonna love it. All right, starting. Right, okay. So this is the LSI system. So if you have never used LSI before, it's just this top version right here, this Market Insights, is going to be your free version. And then your Rental Insight section all the way down is going to be the paid subscription version if you would like to upgrade your subscription at any point. But it allows you to have access to your own information as well as your local market information. And you can do a comparison to last year to see how you're performing in comparison to the local market. And you can drill down by number of bedrooms, by view, by lots of great information in there. And you can narrow it down to just a city or a zip code. I mean, you can really get very close to, a great comp set for yourself there. And then this will be able to allow you to see how the market is shifting year over year. So that's a question we get to, is what kind of changes are we having year over year? This is going to answer that question for you. And then this is the information you can put in front of an owner and say, yeah, the whole market, maybe the demand is lower, or maybe the demand is fine as long as the price point is lower, right? So then you can see how average rate, you have over here in the revenue line where it would show you how your ADR is changing versus the local market. So it's very rich, full of information. I normally say that the first place I stop is going to be the LSI data. Then I take the intelligence I learned from the LSI data, and then I go into RevMax and I make decisions in there that are going to enhance what I'm doing and make me compete better in the marketplace. Okay. All right. So thanks for all of you hanging in there with me this long. So getting signed up. So how do you sign up for RevMax? So as soon as you're on the Ignite system, you just go to your integrations page and you look for your inactive integrations, look for RevMax in there, and you just toggle it on and send over all your properties. Then after you do that, you're going to want to communicate by opening up a ticket to your LiveRez team and just let them know that you've turned on that integration. Then the LiveRez team communicates to the RevMax team to let us know that this has happened so that we can be sure that we're getting your system pulled over correctly. So we're going to pull your system over. At that point, you will get a welcome email from our team within a day or two that welcomes you to the software. You're also going to get login codes to a learning management website that has learning videos on every single part of the RevMax system. And we try to keep the videos nice and short. So if there's just one thing you're trying to do, you don't have to watch a whole video in order to do it. We break it down into its individual pieces for you to make learning easy. You do get free self-service onboarding. guided by an onboarding specialist who checks in with you so you can do your learning at your own pace. We also have courses that you can purchase if you would like to. So if you say, well, we've never done this revenue management thing before, but I have a really smart person who loves data and would like to just lock herself in a closet and just do data analytics all day long, that's totally fine. Bring them on and we can put them through a paid training course, which teaches them everything about the software, how to maximize everything. You can have as many of your team members join that as you would like, and then they can learn how to master the software, or at least you can understand what to expect or what the software is capable of. And then you can, communicate this to your owners that we're going to be using this really enhanced piece of software. And this is going to do all kinds of stuff for us. It's going to allow us to have all this great intelligence. And then that person, can become a certified RevMax revenue manager. They're good to go on the software, and then they go off and you can expect them to be able to manage everything with the system. So whatever support looks like for you, we are here to support you. Where can I learn about RevMax? Austin, I'll let you take over.
Cool. Yeah. So kind of where I step in is bridging the gap in between Maureen and you guys. So if there's anything you saw today that Maureen went through, and you're like, man, I wonder what this looks like with our specific data, that's kind of where I step in. So I can help you get synced up with LSI, synced up with RevMax, and then show you from top to bottom what each product has to offer, and pair it to your specific units, owners, and operations. So typically what I've been doing is meeting with people one-on-one for about 45 minutes to an hour. And we learn a lot about your operations and see how we can kind of get in the mix. So if you want to email me at austintaylor@getrevmax.com, I'm here to help.
Perfect. And everybody loves Austin. He's great. So he's going to take really good care of you. All right. And then that is it. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We had a nice big crowd. And Logan or Katrina, I will let you close out.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love that we have this integration now. And if you didn't get to chat with Austin or Maureen at our conference a couple weeks ago, now's the time. They do have some really great products to offer. And as Maureen said, just next month we will be having a webinar to cover LSI in more depth. We've gotten a ton of questions for it, and it's a super useful tool. So I appreciate everyone taking time out of their busy day to come and join us for this Wednesday webinar. I will send out this recording to everyone who has attended, so that way you do have the contact information to get a hold of them if you do want to sign up with RevMax. All right, well, I do want to thank you all, and I will have it posted here soon on when our next webinar is. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day.